Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 18th of October to the 25th of October. No, not good this week. It's fine. We're going to go over some videos I thought were decent. Pretty good. This first one is actually from a personal friend, Imagine Flow Kyle Pickard. He put out this Naruto cover for one of the OSTs, and I think it's from the original Naruto. Like we watched Shippuden for so long, and they recycle a lot of the OG soundtrack and then mix in the new one. It's hard for me to remember there are certain tracks I know are from OG, but then it might be from OG, I think. But it's like a cover where he's mainly playing flute and bass guitar, or just guitar, I think. And then the rest of it is sort of like MIDI with like FL Studio or whatever. And he's got a nice setup and stuff, and it is like just one cover and it's super quick. Although I do like that, like at the end, he doesn't just like it doesn't end and it's wordless in that way. Like a lot of covers, I think, are just the song and that's it, and kind of thing and go. I like that he ends it with like kind of like, and doing his thing, plugging his stuff, and he's like, hey, if you want the MIDI of this, you want like the sheet music and stuff like that, can have that for you if you have any other suggestions. And like this idea of like an artist covering certain pieces of music that people are recommending him, and then like also doing it so that he says it in the video where it's like, oh, it isn't just so that you can just watch me play it, you can make your own videos and stuff. I think that's really cool. Not a lot of I'm not like in tune with this particular part of YouTube and stuff. I don't know how common practice this is, but like I imagine it's not that common. I mean, I don't know, because I can imagine like the mentality of other creators might be, I put a lot of work into transcribing this music and figuring all this stuff out, so I'm going to keep it to myself or whatever. I imagine that can be kind of the approach or the thought process maybe behind it potentially. But I do like he includes that at the end, and it's in a very casual. He actually I like his setup is super professional looking with the lighting and the camera work and everything like that. And then he takes the camera off of the stand and he's like, oh, I gotta focus in a little bit, and like does the kind of off take kind of thing. It doesn't keep its polish through the whole thing. I think there's something kind of like down to earth and charming about that personally. But yeah, I know this guy. We worked together a long time ago at this point. But I've been subscribed to his stuff for a while. He worked in FL Studio when I knew him. He's really talented and a really nice guy. That's separate from the video itself, of course. But of course, it's like anime related, so I'm like, ooh, I think this might, to my not like, I don't remember him uploading this sort of thing. So it seemed kind of out of the blue for me personally, but like that, I think that's great, and it was something I've been like, an excuse to share this, on Digest and stuff. But yeah, go check his stuff out. He's a really talented musician, and it's great stuff. There's a couple of new channels in this mix. One of them is Anime Culture Corner, and he's talking about Heikei Monogatari, the most beautiful anime of 2021. He's been doing this for a little while with various video essays and stuff. I felt that this one, I think I like his delivery, and I like the polish of the video itself, where it's very standard clip selection, but he does these occasional text on screen with like kind of masked in a very artful way, kind of like in between the door or like behind a person, things like that. Little things like that are really nice. Although I do think that putting the words on screen, it did feel like for emphasis, and it didn't feel predictable, and that could be a good thing, right? Or it's like, oh, it's not like rote or anything like that. But in the same time, it was distracting for me as an editor who's done these sorts of things to be like, where is the rhyme or reason to this besides an end of your sentence or something like a little extra punch? And you're just kind of arbitrarily choosing these little moments, because like there wasn't I didn't find it very consistent personally. It just kind of came up randomly. I don't know. That was just something that was distracting to me personally, and it's not like a big problem or anything. I just thought like, I like that choice, and it is certainly better than just pure clip selection or whatever, which I can't knock either, because I just did one like my latest main channel videos, just clip selection, and it's like But Heikei is a great looks so great, looks great, and it's like you really can just get away with doing that with this kind of thing. I think the substance of the video itself, though, the title of most beautiful anime in 2021, I believe it. I don't think you need to actually argue for it. But like when I was reflecting on when I'm engaging with the content itself and then thinking back on the title, this really is just kind of just talking about Heike Monogatari and recommending it to people. I wouldn't say it's obviously a review, but it did feel reviewy in a way, right? Talking about what it's about and some potential things you'll run into and a general recommendation type of video. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's fun. I just didn't find anything in particular just like additive to me. Because like I already knew about Heike and I was already going to check it out and stuff. Although I was surprised that like, not like shocked or anything, but it was just like, there's something you could have mentioned with like, because he mentions how Naoki Yamada is directing this show and it's with Science Saru. And doesn't see, he's just like, wow, two great talents. And, I mean, attached to this he says cast, by the way. And I'm just like, it's not the cast, it's the crew, but it's a nitpick. I'm sorry. You could just say talent, I know, a nitpick, but like also, but what was I gonna say? Shoot, but it was like he didn't mention the fact that this is the first major anime that Naokiyama is directing anywhere else but her traditional Kyoto Animation. Like this is a very significant, surprising departure, and something that's kind of like of note about this series that I was kind of like, that's weird that you don't mention that. And also, he did bring up a brief thing about like how good the music is, but doesn't bring up the name Kensuke Ushio, which is also like a pretty prevalent, like an up and coming, like really great composer. And I don't know, I didn't mention the name of it. It's just like the music's great. I'm like, yeah, by Kensuke Ushio. And I'm sorry. Again, a lot of this is just like small nitpicks and stuff. And I I don't know how like additive that'll be to it. But I don't know, I have stuff in my pockets. But yeah, I thought it was all right. Again, I think that the structure of the video is there. It's engaging, and again, he's not saying anything super wrong or hostile or weird or anything like that that I found disagreeable. But I wanted to cover it just because it's a channel I haven't talked about before, and I thought it'd be interesting. I do think that like some editing choices I think they seemed a little aimless, or just like I don't get, besides clearly it's just for emphasis and just like aesthetic reasons, I guess. But I've done that plenty of times with my videos where I've done things like, it's because it looks cool, dude. Like there isn't anything, but and that's okay. It was just something that was just kind of tickling my brain personally with this. I'm sorry to like drill into that, I guess. But I appreciate this video, and I'm looking forward to more videos from him now that I am subscribed, and you should too. BobSamurai with a slightly different video with a beginner's guide to macros and the watch order. This is sort of a capstone. I think that's the right wording for it for his whole macros series that he did a long time, and normally he had this really good rhythm going with like movie series, movie series, like four one-off or short OVAs or movies and stuff, and then a series at the end of the week. And he was really consistent with that. And then he kind of slowed down a lot just to specifically try to get through all of macros, which is a lot. And he did it in like a month or two, or maybe less than that, which is awesome and crazy impressive. And I'm jealous as a completionist. I think that's awesome. And it was great to the synthesis in the writing here was really interesting. He does not go describing each one or gives the year for any of them. He really just talks about macros as a franchise and what you can come to expect from all of them, because there are common traits to all of them. I thought that was really genius, actually. He's not trying to sell you on one or the other, and I think the way he ends up breaking it down was also very uniform and to the like, not wasting your time at all, really straight shooting. And he just gives you the chart, and he's like, here are my ratings for them. If you happen to want to like dive into a particular entry, he has reviews for all of them. So it's just very holistic and really cohesive. Like, I don't know if cohesive is the word. I just really thought it was great, and did a great job on that. You know, it's not as like the most big thorough thing that I can be like super wow impressed with. I think it is sort of this one video that is a culmination of these other things that he's worked. So I just think it's a great job. I think he did really well here. Kenny Lauderdale, you know, I got kind of mad when I saw this video pop up. The 3-minute anime. This is talking about Heart Cocktail, which I knew about, and I was really curious and interested in it. And I've had the playlist that's on YouTube with a lot of the shorts, and I haven't gotten around to it because I found it from looking up how many raw, like what kind of anime are out there that are raw that I could potentially watch for this like thing I had an idea for, and I just kind of gave up on it. But Heart Cocktail was one of those things where it was an anime without subtitles that I thought was really interesting. And the thing with this anime, that's the 3-minute anime, I don't think Kenny exactly says it, which like or maybe he is right, and what I'm remembering is wrong. But he says in the video how it's like this anime an episode of this can go completely by in the time that you make a cup of coffee. And I think what the creator of this said of why they're choosing to make these so short and make this just 3-minute episodes is because they're stories that you can tell over the course of a cigarette, I believe is what his wording was. That like in the time you take to smoke a cigarette, you tell this whole story beginning to end. And I think there's something really interesting about that. And of course, it's playing into this idea I've had about like shorter content and stuff. But like, yeah, they're really tight packages, and oftentimes there's no dialogue. And I think Kenny did a good job really describing it, and giving it the full holistic breakdown that he usually does, and gives you the whole thing. Although there's two things that it's just like, for what, there's one that like is very typical for him that I'm annoyed about, but like in this particular installment, it might just be that he's been very discouraged. I think his channel recently just got completely borked because it said it was like ineligible for monetization. So, I mean, I don't know what his plan... I know he had, like, a live stream recently where he was talking about... where he said he would talk about the channel's future and stuff like that. But I think you can kind of tell in the delivery of this video, there's just something really forced and going through the motions with his delivery here, with, like, saying the script. It just seems really wooden, like he's never read a script for a video before. It doesn't seem all that... Maybe I'm just imagining things, and that's how he's always sounded like. But there was something about this particular video that I was just like, it really sounds he's performing the script like this, and and I don't know, it was just like, what's going on? That was just really weird and distracting to me. But the other thing is that I think I'm just generally disappointed. It's just like he just has this kind of like cynical not sneer, I don't know what to call it. Veneer. That's what it was. It rhymes. I think he just has this thing where he has to downplay this show. Like, he's not recommending it. Like, he says, like, I wouldn't recommend... I don't know why I'm talking about this. He doesn't have confidence in this thing that he's talking about. And he's saying it looks pretty and it's compelling in certain ways, and he was giving his honest thoughts in that way. But then he doesn't... When it comes to recommending it, he doesn't feel like he can, and he's just being kind of... I don't know, this is something where it's like feels self-deprecating and self-defeating with this video. And maybe he's leaning into the... Because I think he words it in a certain way. It's like, oh, but that's love or something. Because he does mention the overt melancholy that a lot of these episodes in this show have, despite taking place during Japan's most profitable era and like the best times and stuff. There's kind of a sad melancholy of looking back on this sort of in a nostalgic way, in a sort of like, you know, I'm thinking negative nostalgia, basically, where it's like, I wish, it's more of a yearning for that, and there's a melancholy. Maybe he's tapping into that intentionally, I don't know, but it was getting to me. I'm like, oh man, this could, you know, I feel like you could be selling this a lot more earnestly. I understand being honest and being open about like certain things, how it's like, yeah, this is for like rich people who can afford to go on all these dates or something, I guess. But I don't know. Looking at anime like that in a cynical way, I personally wish it was something else. I guess that's just not what I desire watching. But at the same time, again, despite me not being happy that he talked about it because I wanted to potentially talk about it, it's the thing that Carl Masick had. I include this clip in my You Should Buy Anime video where the initial reaction, he says the initial reaction was jealousy and anger that someone other than them has discovered this gem. I think they wanted to be the ones. And I think that's so true. I think that's I totally feel that. I totally feel like, finding this thing and not many people like it, and I'm the one that's going to bring it forward and stuff. I think a lot of fans can relate to that. Because that sense of discovery and bringing it forward, there's something special about that. So I understand it's a negative, it's a potentially toxic thing that I share personally, and ultimately I think I'm just happy that he's able to bring this anime forward to his impressionable larger audience. I think that's awesome, even though I could have my qualms about this and that and him as a creator and stuff, as the stuff that he generally makes or whatever, but I know he can also make really great stuff, so it's just, and I also feel for him for being a little disillusioned lately. I can imagine that takes the wind out of a lot of sails if that sort of thing happens with YouTube. And also finding, like, what do I talk about? A lost media thing, and he kind of lost some steam, I think. So I do feel for that in that way. Kevin Nyaa with something different. The problems with Higurashi Sotsu /Go, and the title of the film, it's just a mess, It's like, oh boy, negatively skewed content from Kevin Nyaa. And he says in the video, so it's a bit of a cliche where it's like, I don't usually talk about negative stuff. And I think that's fair. And yeah, I'm with you there where, it's a potential it can get really, I feel that. And I was going into this wondering, like, can he pull this sort of thing off? Am I going to come away with this being like, yeah, because my bias is I don't normally like content like this, but I wanted to see how Kevin handles it. And I think he comes from a good place because mainly because he's a Higurashi fan, and he's not in the Higurashi fan that's like the VN is not to dislike other creators like that, but like, as a Higurashi fan. And I think it was smart that he spends more than half the video explaining why he was let down by it, more so than like, this is just trash on site, which I think the trash on site thing, I don't think merits a video, right? In the same way that this is just like, I think I really like how Kevin worded it at the end, where it's like, it's Higurashi content. I wanted to talk about it and have my piece on it. And it's not wholly caustic either. I think it actually comes from a frustrating place, and was reminding me of my own personal frustrations with a show that I just completed last night. Actually, the show in question, it was cut short. It was very obviously canceled in a way that's like, yeah, we're gonna wrap this up really, really quick. You're done. We're not doing more than this. We're good. Or maybe they caught up or something, and they're like, yeah, we're not doing filler or something like that. I don't know. But so they rushed through one of the fights. They literally recapped a fight we've never seen before. We never get to see the full fight. They're like, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. And now we get to this, and now we get to this part, which is like the final fight. Like, they literally fast forwarded the 2 or 3 episodes worth of content in half an episode, or less than half an episode. I've never seen a show do that. I think apparently, like, Promised Neverland technically did that, maybe. I haven't seen Promised Neverland, but yeah, that was not a good look. And then the narrative ends on the second to last episode. Like, they wrap up the arc in episode 33, and then episode 34 is entirely recapping the entire story. It's like, oh no. That is too bad. And you can complain about it. And so that was the kind of complaints that I think Kevin was coming from here, where it's like, all this chunk of Sotsu is a complete wash because it's just stuff we've seen before. It's just recap. It was more like when they recap. Am I right? Yeah, it was good. but then just being like, this is just not Higurashi. I like one of the comments, and there was just like, it's just the point when I was like, this is just not Higurashi. You know, it's just not what I'm coming to see for this particular perspective. You know, it's just very uncharacteristic of this show to be doing a bunch of space, that weird reality things, and Super Saiyan. The two girls are flying around with superpowers. It's like, I was certain, like, I haven't seen any Higurashi, and but I know about it through osmosis, of course, and I'm seeing that. I'm like, yeah, I think it speaks for itself. So I think he manages to find a good, really justifiable, while also again taking the majority of the video to really validate that, like, it was from a place of disappointment. Like, this is all the good stuff it was doing. This is the interesting stuff, and then he's like, what, you know. And of course, you're going to indulge in having some fun, because you can be kind of scathing with the editing and stuff, and he certainly does that here. But I think it was merited in that when he takes all that time building it up, I think that was the piece that I think was the key to this video's success, in my opinion. I think he handled it really well. So that was great. Well done there. There's another newcomer for Digest, at least, and I don't remember where I found that. I think this video was just randomly recommended to me, a previous video of this channel, and then I subscribed because I really like his delivery. Veridis Joe. This particular video that for Digest that came out this week, blackwashing doesn't exist, why black edits aren't racist. And I just really like his style. I just really like his choice of a mix of being a voiceover and being on camera and doing more off the cuff stuff. It kind of felt like Nakey Jakey plus not Nakey Jakey, like a kind of, or like he reminded me a bit of Pan Pizza? I'm sorry. Pizza, shoot. Rebel Taxi? Yeah. You know what it was? Is because the character's name is Pan Pizza, but then his channel's Rebel Taxi, I believe. But I just loved his humor. I love Veridis Joe's humor here, and I really like how online he is with, like, the community, and seeing brings in a lot of different examples for this point that he's making, using a lot of great clips that are just, and a lot of, like, it's like a visual mesh of a lot of different things. He does not seem, I think the eye catch he has in the middle seems to be, and like the ending card where he has this particular outro song with his patrons and stuff like that. Other than that, the entire video feels like complete fair game, do whatever, do a lot of different things, at least from my perspective. The two or three videos I've seen from him. But I just really liked this video. Again, I liked the delivery and the how, like, snarky and kind of like sharp he is with a lot of this points that he makes, and doesn't mean entertain anything, trying to play both sides to it or anything. He really has a particular angle and a point that he's arguing, and I think there's something you can kind of respect in that. I think instead of just like this, and we can kind of fence sitting in a way. There was one little moment I did like where he mentions a long older video where I guess he was kind of in the wrong, or he was arguing a point that it's from a different perspective, and he's like, you might think this is a gotcha, but no, it's not. I've changed my mind, and it's sort of like really owning up to the fact that he owns up to it and shows that to you, and it's not a matter of being caught in 4K. It's a matter of I'm someone who's growing and learning into this stuff and finding what's right and what's wrong, like the lines of this, because it's kind of a muddy issue. I think it seems obvious, but then he brings up a lot of like specific examples, and I think the thing that he nails into, which I think was really smart, is that a lot of the black art where it's turning various characters, a lot of them anime characters, into black characters, or to depicting them as black, is made out of earnest and in a positive way, to see themselves, because they don't have a lot of characters to see themselves in. Their options are very slim. Whereas the whitewashing, the turning a black character into a white character, like you giving them white skin or blonde hair or whatever, is a form of retaliation. It's similar to Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. I really liked that point of comparison, I think. But I think that was a good way to kind of nail that particular thing. And if it's he later in the end, towards the end of the video, there are some people that, you know, are kind of ruining the whole cause and stuff like that. There are some negative examples where people, it's a lot of it has to do with correcting art. If you correct another person's fan art, like that's just a universal no, even if you're doing this for the sake of like you know, if you're, because like the blackwashing, it's kind of a weird, it's not not quite the right term. But I just really like the points he was making, and I'm more enamored with his style and delivery and the vibe of the whole video. I think it's just really invigorating and interesting and valid. I don't know why I said valid. I don't know why I said valid, to be honest with you. Maybe it's yeah. It's just like it's believe, like I can believe it. You know, it's something. It's like, yeah, that sounds totally right, and it sounds convincing, I guess is the word I was thinking of. This is all off the cuff, so it's, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I think it was really great. I really like this video. Aleczandxr. I'm sorry I don't talk about his videos all that much. He is fairly active, but it's just, you know, there's a lot of series where it's like I think it's a lot more. I always find more value in his videos when it's something I've seen and enjoy, than like hearing about Hunter x Hunter again. Sorry. Or you know, I wanted to check out his Haikyuu video because that seemed especially personal and kind of a challenge for him and something I wanted to experience myself. But at the same time, it was going to be spoiling Haikyuu, and I haven't seen Haikyuu yet, and I'd kind of like to. I haven't gotten around to that yet. But Dynazenon, I have seen the little touches of SSSS Dynazenon. I think he did a really good job here, pointing out particular scenes and doing kind of a slight character analysis on certain characters and things. I think it just felt like really casual and like really kind of strolled through. It didn't have like such this fervent, deep focus on anything. I like that he kind of bounced from different topics and not in a, I don't know, in a way that just, it didn't feel like you were bouncing through topics. It always felt kind of cohesive in the same way. I think all the little elements were really interesting to listen to. And again, he delivers it in a very, this is like I'd say bare bones personally, but that's fine because like the message is kind of the most important. So I just, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have too much else to say about it. I was like, I'm going to like, I keep feeling bad that I don't talk about his videos and stuff. It's just like, it's hard for me to find things to like particularly latch on to, personally. It's sort of like stuff is like, oh, that's awesome, or I appreciate that. But yeah, in this in particular, it's just like the particular messages I think were good, and just where it kind of went and when things, yeah, you know me, I'm not the best at describing videos in this way unless they really engross me and things really stick with me in particular, like just based on the subject matter or whatever. But talking about the shows in this way, I think are really cool and I admire it. I just don't have as much to say about it, I guess. But no, yeah, I really like this this vid. It also got me thinking about like doing more with, like looking forward to more of this franchise. I'm hoping there's more. STEVEM getting that bag. Let's go. He had a sponsor for Raid Shadow Legends in this video. I'm like, yeah. The weirdest animated movie you've never seen, talking about Fantastic Planet in the way that I always really appreciate coming to his videos, that I think he has really embraced overall. You know, he had that Madhouse Month and Toei Month and stuff way back where a lot of it was like his perspective and his opinion of stuff, and they were decent and good. But I do think he is ultimately much better and suited talking about the movie in a making of type of way and like the people behind it. I had never, like, it's not like I'm like, I actually have, and yes, you're right, I haven't seen Fantastic Planet, but like I've seen people talk about it and like discuss it and everything like that. But no one ever really brings up the creators in this way. And so I think the making of and the talking about the Czech side coming into it and the Soviets attacked and the things and the history of that, I think it's just always really interesting and well thought out and well researched, of course. yeah, I mean, I always appreciate this, and then him bringing his perspective in and talking about the film itself. I still think he takes the approach in a very I don't know, arm's reach, I guess it's is what I would describe it. It doesn't seem like I thought that you know. Um, no, but I do, and I will say though, I did like the um, connection to his personal art, where he was like, I watched this around the time where I was doing my own animation. That's very similar, stop motiony, kind of weird, things like that, and so it kind of impacted him in that way. And I like that personal perspective. That's really great. But it's like come and go, and it's sort of like has its place type of thing. I think that was particularly well done. Yeah, great, good Steven video. I enjoyed it. And yeah, this is a Q&A video from Animator Dormitory channel. Q&A videos are any all sorts of people make them. It's a common type of video you find on YouTube. I actually commented this on their video because I realized that they read all the comments and stuff. So I'm like, I may as well really commend them for this. I thought it was really superb. I don't know if they've done another Q&A video before, but I thought the selection here was really smart and thorough, and the answers especially. I think what happens with Q&A videos is that they often aren't scripted. They it feels a little bit more natural and expected to be off the cuff and talking about it in an off the cuff way. But when you do that, especially when you want to go through a lot of comments, it ends up being a little abbreviated and not as substantive. Like I was watching a Q&A that CDog VA did this past week, and it was enjoyable. I liked the video, and I think all of his answers were good. It's a similar thing where, because it's off the cuff, I think it's sort of just very succinct, like short one sentence answers, or like and also including some kind of jokey things, and I think this variety to that, and there's a an appeal to that as well. I just really like this approach in particular from Animator Dormitory channel, which makes sense for them because they're delivering this message very concisely and deliberately. So of course it's going to be like, it feels scripted. It feels like it's written out. Their answer is written out, and so by doing that, they can be very precise and thorough and like answer their questions in like in a 2 or 3 minute span of time. Like they only go through 8 questions here in a 21-minute video, right? So that's kind of a decent amount of time addressing each individual comment. Even this last comment where they're just like, they even put them into little categories. They're like, number 1 about this subject, number 3 about this subject, and they're very formal here. And I think that was just really interesting and refreshing. I don't know. I thought it made me pay more attention and more arrested my attention a little more. Maybe also because it was subtitled, of course. So you kind of have to pay a little more attention, of course. No, I especially liked that. And like I was going to say, the last question, even the last question where it was just, thanks for making these, and they're just like general comments of support. They turned it into talking about how sorry we can't upload as much as we want. We have these other things, and we're trying to get more people interested, but trust us, it means a lot to read all these, and they just are very commendable answers. I just really liked it. I thought it was really good, and yeah, substantive. And if you don't know about the channel already, you definitely should. It's really important. Yeah, I think it's really awesome. Sheesh, I don't know. Usually I don't have to feel like, I want to take a break, but like I actually got that pang just now. Like, let's just pause the video and I'll come back later with the rest of these. I don't know why. No. And it's not even that long of a digest. Yeah, I've done longer. That's weird. Sorry. Anyway, now let's talk about the best videos of the week. The things that I thought were like, yeah, dude, let's fucking go. I really liked that. This first one's from yet another new channel, getinthemecha, Heikki Monogatari's approach to visual storytelling. It's another Heikki video, but this one's a lot more in depth of what I was kind of hoping for. Of like a very, very additive, unique, interesting perspective, and it's in a format that I think was really interesting. So it's a podcast, but you see it's only 25 minutes, so you're like, okay, is there a longer version? Especially when you see this and it's kind of separate, it's in chunks, and it's kind of broken up a little bit. And so my thought was, oh, is there an extended version of this podcast that I can listen to uninterrupted? And this is just sort of the highlights sort of thing. But then I look at the Spotify, and they are effectively the same length. So this is a podcast, but it's only 25-30 minutes. I'm like, that's kind of neat. That's kind of interesting. I actually kind of like that. I'm certainly not accustomed to that, right? Because podcast must mean hour or two, at least. Yeah, but this particular installment, so he's talking. Getinthemecha is mainly talking about the first 4 episodes and focusing in on the staff, and it's like not just Naoko Yamada, and he makes a very particular point about this, that this is not just like her departure to Science Saru and this whole thing. It's a broader story of this new generation of episode directors and storyboarders and artists that are coming into this and getting a platform so that they can really express something in an artful way. Because I think it's true. I think it's one thing to, you know, get a gig on a shonen series or a slice of life or something like that, like, you know, you're not necessarily expected to be super experimental or like artsy in your storyboarding or your direction and things like that. But Heike Monogatari, I think their big thing is that like the visual storytelling is super key and important to them in a lot of the different aspects of the designs and the backgrounds and, again, the storyboarding and episode direction. So this, I like that he went in that direction and broke each episode down into who was working on it and addressing them in particular, and what they brought to the table. And I think his insights were really smart, and like he only focused on a handful of shots, maybe even just one, I feel like, per episode, and that might seem like very limiting, but I was actually really appreciative of that as someone who, you know, I did my hosted a video on his TV anime work, and I'm really proud of that video, but it is a totally different beast where I'm trying to synthesize a lot of different things he's doing at once and using a lot of episodes as reference. Whereas here, zeroing in on one concept, one idea, and fully fleshing that out, I think is really smart and doesn't leave you in like overwhelming. It doesn't overwhelm the creator as well as the viewer. I thought that was really smart, actually. I think that the selection here is really choice, and it felt engaging all the way through. I just thought that it was especially bold. Also, the actual creation of the video aesthetic itself, it seems very minimalist and economic in a way, where it's him at his mic in the corner of the screen, and then it's just like kind of like amorphous backgrounds while he shows off a screenshot. It's just screen caps that he took, and just describing it that way, but giving so much detail with just having that one screen cap, kind of floating a little bit like this size or so in the middle of the screen, while the rest of it's just kind of random swooshes and like background stuff that look pretty aesthetic and nice. It's a polished, nice video. It has a distinct visual identity, and the delivery is really unique and interesting, and the content itself is really engaging. So this was really, really great. I just really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to more videos like this. I don't know if I'd be interested in all of them, since it's like a lot of it seems to be a lot of seasonal stuff, maybe. But no, I mean, the actual expertise and the observations here, I think, is really carrying it. I think it's great. Mononoke, Fear Itself from Bonsai Pop. Yep, of course. I was expecting this to be good, and it was. Because of the sheer amount of information that I knew that they were going to put into it, similar to their Rurouni Kenshin video. But I like that that was to be expected, so I think they kind of step up their game a little bit in the way they present it. I think it just feels like very instead of like lecture time history. I think the pace of the video felt really smooth, and really, if they were feeding it to you in ample amounts, like the amount of like, oh, this is where this is from, the K in Mononoke, and the little pieces here, I think it was slowly building on top of each other. It wasn't just dumping it all on you at once. And the structure of, obviously the series kind of lends itself to it, but they're describing each of the arcs, each of the little installments here, and I just really like you can tell this script is like really refined and revised, and he says that as much in the video, but I think it was just really sharp and like like really great. I mean, I hadn't seen Mononoke in a little while, and obviously all I kind of took away from it is like, wow, that was cool. You know, on kind of a on an aesthetic experiential level, but like really reading into it, it's like, oh, the medicine dealer is a kitsune, and there's all this stuff to support it, and the things. He just got me to care about all that stuff a lot, and looping it back onto the title itself, Fear itself. I thought that was really landed really well at the end, and they keep doing that, man, where like they end on such a strong note, and then all of a sudden it's their patron end screen, and I'm like, damn, that's it, damn, you know, it just like they're just like, that's it, dude, and that's a good thing. I'm saying that's a good thing, but like it is sort of like, whew, it's like, man, no, I just thought it was really well done, as I was expecting, you know. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself at this point. Yeah, that was great, well done. I had a very good time with this Anime Man video, with PewDiePie rating every anime opening song ever, which is a joke, but they get it, it's funny. And I think the best, besides the banter, besides like the interactions that Joey and PewDiePie have, that like Joey and Felix, I can just say, the two of them have, that the chemistry that they have with talking with each other, I think is excellent, and they're both very seasoned professional entertainers, and you know, really bringing in a good audience, and like having good reactions, having good jokes, having good banter, even letting some arguments happen and some disagreements, things and happening like that. I actually really like how much of this felt raw, and for the first, like, they're kind of going into this not fully prepared with. They were fully prepared with what selection of OPs, like they each selected a handful of OPs to deliberate on, but I like that they didn't tell each other what they were based on, like if they got the same OPs either. And I really appreciated Joey's approach, where he was looking at people's least favorite OPs and favorite OPs, so they could get, it wouldn't just be like a circle jerk of their favorite OPs, which it definitely could have. And there was a lot of S tiers. There was a lot of S tiers in this video, to my delight, of course. And the only F tiers, and the only ones that they actually were fairly negative towards, were a lot of the English ones, like the German Naruto opening, Naruto. And I was also, it was just awesome that like Felix hadn't seen a lot of those kinds of OPs, so his reaction to those were really great. And even Joey had a couple that like he couldn't remember, or like had to recall, and so he had to, you know, rewatching a lot of them. And it's okay that none of them were featured. The visuals would flash by, you didn't hear any songs, but they were really good at describing them too. I thought that was going to be kind of a like, oh, maybe should I pull up another tab for this? And I was watching this on my phone, of course, and that would have been difficult to do for me personally, so I was like, oh, how much am I, you know? But they did a really good job really describing it and giving a good feeling. And yeah, like what I was going to say was like besides the actual banter they have, which I think is really great and the most entertaining part, their selection was fantastic. I thought their selection was not what you would expect, I think. I mean, yes, there's Evangelion, Bebop, but they actually rapid fire through those very quick. They're like, Bebop, yeah, it's S tier. Eva, yeah, it's S tier. You know, and they don't, like, this has obviously been made before, right? This type of video. But like, they had the Ergo Proxy OP on there. They're going through Lane. They had oh my gosh, they had the Moribito OP, which I hadn't even heard of. Tsukiyuki Moonphase OP. Chobits was on there. Oron was on there. Just like certain OPs, I was just like, yeah, you know. Also, really interesting, like Joey chose the Route A OP for Tokyo Ghoul instead of the one that everyone knows. He actually was like, I actually really like this OP, and Felix was like, yeah, this is really artsy, really nice, interesting, and they rated it pretty high. I really liked that. I just like that just felt very unique and like unexpected and cool. You know, I just really enjoyed that. Yeah, I just it was a positive time. They rated the Berserk 97 OP S tier. What more can I ask for? Let's fucking go. Although it was, you know, I could be a little anal with like their Naruto OP choice. Like they were choosing OP2, OP4, Fighting Dreamers, and OP6, which I do like. Is doom 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 doom. Like the, you know, I think it was that one. I think that's OP6. No, is OP6 the what I was showing it, you know, maybe, I don't know, forget it. But like my problem is, hey, where's Shippuden 16? That's just the best OP of all time. I mean, how do you make that? How do you make something that good? I can't believe it. I had seen that OP before I watched Naruto, and I'm like, I like this OP a lot. And then I'm like, okay, now that I'm watching Naruto, I'm not going to spoil myself by watching that OP until I get to it. And then I'm 5 episodes away from getting to it, and I was like, fine, I was like, I can't, and I went, but I was like, it's fine, I don't need, I'm fine. And oh my god, they just did that. I can't believe it. Sorry, I was just geeking about Shippuden OP16. Wow. Anyway, that was a great video. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I think I had the most fun watching this video easily, and it's almost 50 minutes, and it doesn't feel that, of course. It was just awesome. Loved it. Really fun. But anyway, I feel like I want to give the best one to In Praise of Shadows, which I don't think I've talked about either. The 90s Suicide Squad cyberpunk horror anime, which of course you try to get fit as many buzzwords in there as possible, because there's no way you're getting the algorithm to pay attention to you if you call it Cyber City 080 something, you know? Fair. Nah, I loved it. I think that the biggest point of praise I can give this is that he really leans into the idea of the OVA doing cyberpunk right. And I like his point about costumes, for example, where like a lot of people's outfits in cyberpunk are very lavish and kind of weird and over the top and everything. But this one chose to do a lot of normal, a little more normal at least. Like there's some kind of, you know, outfits and things, but it's not like lavish in the same way. And I think his argument for that actually feeling more cyberpunk was really great. And how the way he ends this video, where it's like a story like this can totally be resonant today with how many injustices and linking to all the current shit that's happening right now in our world, I think was also really sound and well put, as well as like giving good clips for that, right? Because, you know, this is a very simple clip selection. He's not doing anything too fancy here, but I think the actual choice of like depicting cyberpunk in animation, in anything really, his address in certain aspects of it just felt like really well understood of cyberpunk, I think. As someone who's seen a lot of, you know, seen a couple cyberpunk videos, and like, you know, they've been decent and good here and there and whatever. But this one I felt was like, yeah, dude, yeah, you know. That was the biggest thing for me. But generally, I really liked his description of all of the episodes, and his opinion, his takes on them, and talking about Kawajiri and things. I think the bulk of it, it's very straightforward. I don't think this video is doing anything particularly special. It's just the thing is just landing all of it really well, that I just think was like, man, yeah, like that. I really liked that. And you know, the one thing he says that like is, you know, I don't know, like he mentions how it's like, oh, I only got 3 episodes before it was canceled, and I'm like, I haven't looked into Oedo as a series, like, you know, historic wise or anything, but he never mentions that it's an OVA. I don't think. I think he's like, this series is, and I don't know, I think he was implying this is like a TV, it got like abruptly cut off. to me, Oedo is fine with the like. He's like, I wish there was more episodes of this, and it's like Bebop, where you fully get to know the characters and things like that, and why were they criminals in the first place. And he's talking about kind of the loss of potential here, and I'm like, I don't know. I really think it does what it wanted to do. Each episode is focusing on one of the three primary characters, and it's exploring a different aspect, which I think he very eloquently describes each one and where it's taking it. I think he has a great understanding of the whole show, but it's just like, nah, but I want more. I'm like, why though? I mean, personally, I think it's great as it is. But that was just a weird thing to me. I'm like, I'm not sure if he knows this is like an OVA, and I imagine that was what they wanted to do with it. You know, like, no, it's 3 episodes and that's it. And maybe it gets picked up for something else, but like, no, I don't really need a remake of this or more of it. I don't know. That was just a small thing for me. Not a big deal or anything, but I was just like, yeah, I don't know. But it's it's an interesting perspective to have for sure. Yeah, but you know, I might not be like super glowing praise for them, like, oh, that's why it's the best, you know. I think it's just like all these videos are really good, and I just happen to think this one like really nailed it. I think it nailed what it was trying to say, and I don't think he doesn't seem to talk about anime in particular too often. He's talked about it before, but it's sort of like a lot of the stuff that he just horror stuff is kind of his general moniker, I think. But gonna simply subscribe to him. I put a couple other videos of his and watched later. He had this very viral Return of Oz video that I wanted to check out, and this other one of like the gothic with gothic horror with Batman, the problem with modern Batman stories or something. I'm like, that looks interesting, and yeah, if they're had the same sort of tact as this kind of video and really well informed and understanding of the material, then yeah, I'd be down. Yeah, I just really liked it. I think I said that about every one of these videos. God damn it. That'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.